William here with Patriot Containers, bringing you guys industry awareness, education, helpful information so you don't get scammed, so you know with what you're buying. These videos that I'm providing are something that no other company is doing, and a lot of these bad companies that I'm warning you about can't make videos like this because they don't care about their customers and they don't tell the truth about what they're selling. I'm telling you the truth about the cargo container industry. So hopefully these videos find you before you buy a container. This video is about how you buy, how do customers get bad containers? You have new and you have used. There's a lot of different conditions of used to buy. It depends on who you call. Some companies don't sell these correctly with honesty, and they don't tell you the information you need to hear. They tell you the information that it takes to make them a sale, but to close you as a commission. A lot of these commission-based salespeople, their job is to sell and make a paycheck. And once they make that sale, your order is no longer on their desk. They're off the hook, and your order is going off to some different department. God knows where it's going. God knows how it's going to be handled. God knows what they're going to purchase for you. God knows how long it's going to take to get that container there. But how do customers get crappy containers? It depends on who you call. So if you buy a new one, it's called a one-tripper. It's the best of the best. If you have very high standards and you have the money to spend on it, you will not regret your purchase when the container arrives. I know it's a hard pill to swallow when you look at the price of a used one versus a new one, but if you do make that splurge, you will not regret your purchase when you get the container. The only downside to buying a new container is you're going to love it so much, you're never going to want to sell it, and you should never buy a used one after that, because you're going to compare your new purchase of a used container to the new one you already have. You're automatically not going to like this used one because the one you bought previously is the best of the best. So that's the only downside. Used. There are very nice used containers to purchase for your customers. They have to go through an inspection process. Every time containers come from the ships to the yards to the depots, they must go through an inspection process. The true terminology is IICL is the highest rating that a used container can get. Cargo worthy is the second highest. Wind and watertight means no holes. That's it, no holes. As is decommissioned old. Typically they're heavy corroded with rust, and they could have holes and they could not have holes. It ain't gonna be a good one. And then damage. Damage is like a totaled car. That the repairs are cost so much money that it costs more than the container is worth. So it's like a totaled car, damaged. So in fact, they should call it totaled. But where it gets weird is when you're dealing with a seller that tells you the only way to get a good one is to buy a new one. So they only offer new and they offer one used. When you offer the cheapest used and the new, you're kind of forcing people to buy the cheapest product. And they have all this hook, line, and sinker of what to tell you in order to trust them. You have companies out there that say they have an economy grade. There's no such thing as an economy grade. There's no such thing as wind and watertight and cargo worthy. It's either cargo worthy or it's wind and watertight. There's a reason why they do that, is because they're tricking you to hear the word cargo worthy, but they're really selling you wind and watertight, and they could be selling you damaged or as is. What else? So when you call these other companies and they only tell you there's one condition used and one condition new, they're not selling the used ones correctly to you. New is new and it's the best, but used, yeah, there's a wide variety. Where it gets weird though is customers When you guys call us companies and you say, I don't care about the way the container looks, I just want something cheap that will keep my belongings safe and that does not leak, you're automatically making that seller say, okay, we have wind and watertight, which is exactly with what you asked for. They're just not describing with what it really is. Wind and watertight could be the ugliest container you've ever seen with cancerous rust all over it, and if it doesn't leak and the door's shut, it is wind and watertight. Where it gets really bad is where these companies are selling you guys damaged and as-is containers, and that's how you guys get holes and really bad products. And the companies, they're not being transparent about what they're selling you. If you want a good used container, how do I say this? I always ask people, they always say, I want a used container. And I go, okay, well, what do you want it to look like? Well, I want it to be tan with no dents and no rust. Well, that's a new one, okay? But there are very nice used containers. Now, I've been doing this on my own for 11 years, and I only have 3 complaints from 3 people that never bought a container from me. I have achieved that basically perfect record in my eyes by telling the truth and doing everything right for my customers. These other companies can't say that. They have an insane amounts of complaints all over Better Business Bureau, Google, Yelp, and they do that because, you know, my previous video is they oversell everything and underdeliver everything, and then they're not accountable. So therefore, the only thing that a customer can do is A, either lose a ton of money, or B, keep the container and file a complaint. And nothing changes, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And nobody reads these complaints, even though I think you guys as customers need to. When a customer says, well, I want a really good one that's a good used one. I don't want to buy a new one, but I want it to be tan and I want it to be perfect. You're describing a new one, but you just don't want to pay for it. So you have to tell a customer, like, look, here's the price of the one you want. Now, obviously your standards are very high. You should not buy a piece of junk, even though you want to pay for a piece of junk. But there are very good used containers that will never be new. And, I don't know. I know I've sold over 10,000 containers, 10, 15,000, 20,000 containers in 11 years, all by myself. I'm a one-man show, owner, operator, and I provide a real service in this industry that is dog shit. And so, with that many containers sold, I've maybe purchased 8 containers that were perfect used containers. The only thing difference is they weren't tan, they were red or blue, but they were perfect. Like not even a dent, not even a scratch. You can't expect that every single time you sell a container. So when you're dealing with these other sellers that are basically saying, yes, the only way to get a good container is you have to buy a new one. Either that or we just sell these shitty ones, but that's not what they're saying. They're basically saying wind and watertight, or they're cross-referencing or making up terms, economy, 2-tripper, 5-star, premier, I don't know. They always make up these funky terms to be unique and to sound special. And it's I don't know if it's a sales pitch. It's how do we rename something to make it sound fancy when it's not? But so if people really want a good used container, number one, don't say wind and watertight. Wind and watertight is not a good container. So when you say I want a good looking used container that's wind and watertight, the seller is not hearing I need a good looking cargo container. They're going wind and watertight. Well, wind and watertight sucks. It looks like crap. And where it gets really bad is when they're selling you damaged or as is, but they're delivering damaged or as is, but they're selling you over the phone wind and watertight. And then when there is a hole in it, they're not going to be accountable for anything, and they're not going to help you. They're going to leave you out to hang and dry. That's how you guys are buying bad containers. Now, the proper way to say it or ask for it is say, look, I need a really nice used container. I don't want to buy a new one, but I want to buy the best grade used you have. And I don't want damaged, I don't want as is, I don't want wind and watertight. Well, there's two other descriptions there. Cargo worthy, 95% out of the time, is a really good average container that won't make you mad. Maybe 1 out of 50 people will complain about cargo worthy. If you sell it correctly, they won't complain at all. IICL, 9 times out of 10, is the best used you can get. And that's how you guys get the really nice used containers. But yeah, when customers are looking for a container, you got to watch out for these sellers. They're not giving you all the descriptions and inspections of what these containers are. They're going in for the kill. And they're saying new is new, and then our used is this. And our used comes with a lifetime warranty, money back guarantee, 60-day return policy, all this hoopla to make you buy a piece of junk. And then when you see it, because they didn't tell you with what it really was, that's how you guys get bad containers. So the proper way to ask for a good container is, I want a good looking container that doesn't leak. I don't want wind and watertight. I want cargo worthy or IICL. Now, whether that company purchases it for you, that's the major problem here. These companies say they're going to do this, and you feel so secure, and then they do this, and you are never secure at all. And so that's how you guys get bad containers. It's just that these companies aren't purchasing good products; they're purchasing crappy products, and they're using sales pitches to close you. And then when you're not happy, they don't care. So there are good containers out there. New is new. I highly recommend, if you have the money, you won't regret your purchase. Now, if you're throwing junk in it, or leaking transmissions or old engines, you probably don't need a new one. But everybody wants something nice. They just want it to be as cheap as possible. A good reference is I have people all the time, they go, I don't care about how the container looks, but I need to see pictures. Okay, you see what I'm saying? I'm not going to pay for this container up until it gets here. I don't want to buy a good one, but if it's ugly and I don't like it, I'm not paying for it. Oh, see what I'm saying? So salespeople that work at other companies, they don't care. You're a commission, and they're selling you a 5,000 or 8,000 pound container. It's two scenarios: happy customer, unhappy customer. You're dealing with the right company. There's a magic moment where your customer is going to be happy. It's when the driver's pulling up and the container is on the trailer. If it looks like shit, you're going to have an unhappy customer that's going to be pissed off. If it looks like a good used container or a good new one, they're happy. That's it. I've dealt with so many people that say, oh, I don't care about how it looks. They always care. They always care about how it looks. Every single time. I mean, on occasion, you can deal with somebody that's has really low standards. I always deal with, I'm a welder. I can fix my own container. Well, do you really want to fix rust everywhere? There's some people that are willing to save $100 or $200 to buy the lowest quality and then put in a bunch of work to fix it. But those people are rare. Most people want, here's a good way to say it. I always ask people, they go, well, what's your cheapest container? And I go, well, what's your consideration of the best price, I guess? Is it whoever? Are you going to buy a 5,000 or 8,000 pound container from whoever just gives you the cheapest price? And some people say yes. I'm telling you, when you're buying used, that's a bad idea. Because you're just going to find more companies that are more desperate to sell you the cheapest junk and pull down their pants and sell it to you. But here's a different way of looking at it. What about the right container at a right price. What's a better deal, the lowest price or the container you want at the right price? And you'd be surprised on how many people actually go, you know what, the right container at the right price, and that's the customer you want to sell to. The one that scares me is goes, no, I'm going to buy from whoever gives me the cheapest price. Good luck with that, because there's a ton of companies out there that are waiting for you to call, and they're not going to be truthful about with what I'm telling you now. So anyways, guys, that's how you guys get crappy containers. Watch out for these companies that aren't being truthful with you. New is new. IICL is the best used. Cargo worthy is the second best used. Wind and watertight can be horrible. It really can. If you're lucky, it'll be acceptable, but most of the time it can be horrible. As is sucks. Damaged sucks. And there are different conditions to sell you. They're just not giving them to you. They're saying new, used. And it's not that. It's new, used. And be specific. The second you guys say wind and watertight, you're getting a crappy container. I'm so sorry. That's what's happening. You want a good container that doesn't leak. And a good container looks good and it doesn't leak. Wind and watertight looks like shit. And if you're lucky, it doesn't leak. So signing out, guys. What is today's date? 28th. Have a great one. Bye.